everyone. I'm going to give you a few seconds to sort of get in and get everything started. But I'm Sarah McGuire with Ready Chapter One, and I am so excited to have you here. So I'm going to give us like a minute, but go ahead and take a sec and please leave a comment about where you're from and what you write. And while you're doing that, I'll sort of pull this together. And I want to let you know as well, we are working with a new software with this. So a little shaky as we're pulling this all together. So I hope that you will cut me slack when the inevitable mistake comes, although I'm hoping it comes later in the section and then rather than earlier. So, awesome, Casey. Thank you. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is everyone is sort of coming in. I'm going to let folks introduce themselves, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of jump straight in. So my goal, hello, Elise. Hello, Shauna. So good to have you guys here. What we're going to do is my goal is to have us kind of review how to put together a log line and be through this whole thing in about an hour and 15 minutes. And then at the end, as I had mentioned earlier, we will be doing a giveaway. And I am super excited about that. So we know that this can be a busy holiday season. And we know that our programming with the challenges slows a little bit during December, but we just wanted to give you a gift with a very specific takeaway where you can walk away with a log line for your book. So at the very end, we are going to go ahead and give away a free membership to Ready Chapter One Pro. And just as a quick reminder, so that will be for the folks who stick with us till the difficult end. But that will give you access next year to every single agent challenge, all 11 that we have where finalists send pages to agents. It will give you access to every Agent Live event where they answer questions and give feedback. It'll give you access to workshops like we'll be having in February, where Janice Hardy will be giving us the lowdown on writing romance. And it will also involve waived admin fees for Publisher Challenge. One last bit of housekeeping. We are going to actually have people give feedback, like list their log line. So if this were a workshop and you guys were in the room in front of me, I would have you turn to the person next to you and practice your log line with them. So we have a way to do that here. So what I would like you to do, I'm going to drop this link in the comments, but I'm also just going to put it right here. So what I'd like you to do really quickly, and I'll go ahead and drop that into the comments as well. Go ahead and go to this page. I don't want you to do anything with this, but I want you to just have this page pulled up, and I'll show you what to do with it in a little bit. So it'll make our lives a little easier. So that's readychapter1.com/logline. I'm dropping that into the chat right now if you want to use the link, but I just want you to go to that page and have it ready. Oh, I'm loving seeing all this stuff from y'all. Can you see me now? I just got a message from Fred. Okay, better? Okay. One of the reasons that this is important is that it gives you, okay, really quick. No sound, y'all. I told you I would do this. I'm going to back up super quick. Can I tell you that I practiced this for like 20 minutes, 3 days in a row, and I still messed it up? Okay, so really quickly, log lines are important because they're going to help you talk about your story. We know this is important. I know there are some folks who are good with log lines. I'm not that person. So we're going to talk about that. Although I'm now better at log lines than I am at this specific software that we're using. One of the other things that's important is that we want you to know what makes your story unique. And the reason that's important is because you want to stand out in this really glutted industry. Last reason is log lines show you the shape of your story. And so if you have the ability to take your 40,000 words or your 70,000 words or your 90,000 words and have it a shape that just sort of sits there, then you can look and tell if this is working as a story. So I had one story that I'd been working on, and when I finally got to the log line, I realized why it hadn't been working overall. So the North Star, actually, it worked as a North Star that helped me revise my story. Thank you, Shauna. All right, so I'm going to have us get in super fast. So a couple things that you will have in a standout log line. So first of all, a standout log line is going to be unique and specific. So I want you to imagine, like I have loved looking through all these comments and seeing what you write. So I want you to take a sec and I want you to imagine yourself walking down a Books A Million or a Barnes & Noble. And I want you to think of all of the different stories that are in those shelves that you will be competing with. And we are here to figure out what makes you stand out from those stories, what is specific to you that's going to make that stand out. And it's not, it can sound daunting, but the crazy thing is, and the amazing thing is, you as a unique person wrote this book. So you are capable. There are qualities in this story that are unique that will make it stand out simply because you wrote it. But a logline helps you tune into that and be aware of it. Okay, next thing that we are looking for is we want something that's unexpected. So everyone, if I were to mention different sorts of genres, whether it's thriller or romance or fantasy, there are certain tropes that come to mind. And while those are helpful sort of structures to play with, you are going to need to deviate from that in interesting and exciting ways so that your book stands out and people are like, oh, okay, this is not what I just read. And log lines are one way that will help you do that. And then this is the math teacher in me talking, but it's very easy for me to concentrate on formulas. You're going to do this, and then you're going to do that. But the goal of all of this is you want someone to read your book. Like that's the point of all of this. And so as we talk about all these different parts to a log line, as we talk about all the different ways you can put it together, what you are still shooting for is that kind of catching your breath or the way that your heart speeds up when you know that you've got a good story and when you see somebody else respond to it. Okay, really quickly, this sounds silly, but we're going to go over this super fast just so that you have everything you need. So parts of a log line. Main character. I have yet to see, and I did a whole lot of research for this, I have yet to see any sort of log line that does not refer to the main character. They will sometimes include the inciting incident, even if it has an extra T in there. Inciting incident just means what's going on when that starts this story off. It's Dorothy landing in Oz. It's any number of things that can happen, but the inciting incident, the goal that your character has. What does the character need to accomplish? And we can get a little bit deeper between what the character wants and what the character needs. But when the story kicks off, what is it that your character needs to accomplish? And then we'll also be talking about identifying the antagonist or the opposing force. So antagonist can be like the actual villain. It can be, I don't know, it can be anything from a dictator for life to a mean girl in a cafeteria. Opposing force could be something less personal. So it could be a blizzard that you're protagonist is trying to survive. It could be something impersonal like a corporation or a government. All of these things are going to go into your logline. And then finally, we're going to deal with stakes. What happens if your hero fails? How does this affect them? How does this affect the people around them? So I'm confident that you guys are familiar with all of this, but still wanted to just cover it super fast to make sure that we were on the same page. All right, so let's talk about what happens next. So let me kind of give you an update, or let me give you a rundown of how this is going to go. So what we're going to do is I am going to just give you a whole bunch of questions about each of those 5 sections. And I could give you a worksheet. You're talking, and I will hand that out a little later, but you're talking to somebody who would get so worried about whether I was writing the right place and the right thing in the right space. And I'd spend more time about trying to organize things. So I'm really wanting this whole exercise to be stream of consciousness for you guys. So my goal is that you'll be scribbling down a whole bunch of stuff about your main characters, inciting event, goal, antagonist, and stakes. You will probably end up using about 1% of it. But I think it's a really vital part of the process, because sometimes you don't strike gold when it comes to how you describe your story until you've been sort of digging around a little bit. It may not be the first thing that comes to mind. It may be the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th. So at this point in time, I need you to go ahead and open a document. If you are a paper and pencil sort of person, I'd like you there. Grab yourself a piece of paper. So we're going to go through this in a sec. After that, we're going to go through everything you've written down, and you're going to choose those things that you want to use in your logline, and we'll draft a logline. After that, you'll have the opportunity to anonymously share your logline and get feedback on it. And then we'll repeat that process. But the goal of this section here is I want to find things that are unique about your story. So I'm going to read you a bunch of questions, and I'm going to try to read them quickly enough that you don't have time to overthink them. Again, math teacher, I do that a lot. And my hope is too that whether you are using this as an exercise to envision your next story or as a way to sort of clarify and pull everything down for your current story, I hope that you'll discover things about your story and your characters. Write everything that comes down to mind, and we'll sort through it later. There's no wrong answers, nothing too short, too long. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, one other thing. I only want you to be thinking about, as you're talking about this, readers in your genre. So as you're talking about your book is not to sell anything. Your job is not to sell something to somebody who doesn't read your genre. So if you write romance, you're not trying to make somebody who reads thrillers write it. Leslie, how long should it be? Our goal for your logline is that it be around 20 to 30 words. But this, you're going to write a whole lot of words down, because we're going to sort of pull together a lot of material for you to pull from. Does that make sense? So this is just going to be a whole lot of things that you're going to put down like in bullet points or things like that. Does that answer your question, Leslie and Jill? I'm going to take that as a yes and keep moving. So what we're going to do is next section with this, we'll sort of give you a template to, main character here, inciting an event here, incident here, that sort of stuff. But this is just collecting the sort of things that you'll slot into place. Okay, you ready? Here we go. So we are going to start with characters. So if this is in a document or if this is on your sheet of paper, go ahead and just write down character. And we're going to do this weird kind of mental exercise. But what I want you to do is imagine you're sort of looking down on one of those big like hotel ballrooms where they have those semi-awkward mixers. And I want you to imagine that if you had taken all the main characters from a shelf of romance novels, or from a shelf of detective novels, or from a shelf of fantasy, if you had all of those main characters in that room, milling around, doing whatever they do when they have a mixer at a conference, I just want you to sort of imagine them there. Tons of main characters. in whatever weird sort of thing that they'd be doing. And I want you to find your main character. So in the middle of all these main characters, find your main character. And really quickly, write down just a few simple descriptors of this main character, and they can be super simple. So teacher, teen, single mom, firefighter. So take a sec and write down a few simple descriptors. And then quickly, how would you describe them so that someone could find them in the crowd? Okay, I have one person saying they lost sounds. Can everyone else still hear me? I'm going to keep talking and trust that it will catch up. So you've got these simple descriptors. You've got how you'll find them in a crowd. All right, and then what I'd like you to do is tell me real quick, just where are these people standing in the room? This sounds simple, but what are they doing? So if you were not able to describe your character physically, how would you describe them so that people can find them? Would they be the person in the corner? Would they be in the center where everyone is laughing and making jokes? But where would they find your character in the crowd? So you're not going to say she's the short redhead, but you will say that she's already made 2 trips to the buffet table because the bread is really, really good. That sort of thing. Thanks, y'all. And then what are they holding? And again, you may not use all of this, you probably won't, but it's going to help you kind of settle into who they are as a character. So for instance, Jack Reacher, he has a toothbrush in his pocket because he never stays anywhere super long. He just needs some money and a toothbrush. Good, Elise. I'm glad to hear it. Few other questions, quick questions about the character. Who are they talking to or refusing to talk to? Who are they paying attention to? Maybe they're watching somebody. Who are they ignoring? And this always gets me. Are they doing anything that makes someone give them side eye? Makes somebody kind of be like, huh. All right, take 15 seconds. Jot down anything else that stands out to you about your main character. And again, what might distinguish your main character from all of the other main characters who are walking around, all the other fantasy main characters or romance main characters? All right, we're going to move to inciting incident. So this is what got them in trouble in the first place. So really quickly, we're going to go before that. So what was their life like before? So before your book, or in the very first pages of your book, what was their life like? Okay, how has their life changed? And then I want you to think about this as well. This is going to be this sort of theme that repeats over and over again. But your main character is standing in a room of other main characters. We know that their life got upended. We know that something happens. How is that incident different from all the other things that happen to the other main characters? So, for instance, if you were writing romance or women's fiction, a lot of those start with somebody getting dumped or being dumped. So, what is different about what happened to your character? And it doesn't mean that they weren't dumped, but what was it? Hope floats. She gets dumped on national television. So, what extra detail can you add to their inciting incidents that makes it stand out? I'm going to give you like 10, 15 more seconds. Write anything else down that you can think about the inciting incidents. And you can also write down different ways that you could phrase it. So again, you'll be slotting this into different places in your log line. So just be aware of ways that you can use it. All right. Okay. If you're in a document or on a paper, we're going to move to a slightly different section here. So we have been talking about inciting incidents. We're going to just move quickly to goals. Okay. So goal, what is it that your main character has to do? So for instance, and I want you to be as specific as possible, and I'm also going to be a little bit more general in that let's talk about their goal at the beginning of the book. So I understand that many times as you write a book, the goal, the want, the need is going to change. It's probably best for your log line to start on the goal at the beginning of the book. And again, I want you to be as specific as possible. So don't say that somebody wants to find home. But in your mind, what does home mean to that person? So does home mean always having someone to eat dinner with, or never being alone on Christmas morning? Or if you're talking about justice, in your mind, that needs to be specific. So is that being able to tell a mom where her son is buried? But in that sense, if you were talking about home with a capital H or justice with a capital J or friends with a capital F, make sure that you have a specific way that would be measured. And I forgot to add this, but if there's anything about these questions that don't make sense, please feel free to drop something in the comments and we can totally address it there. All right. And then I'm hoping that you're going to be expecting these questions now. Um, how is your character's goal different from the goals of all of the other main characters in this genre? And what specifically could you add that would make another character go like, wow, dude? And I would remind you that this is not necessarily something you achieve by thinking bigger, but typically it can be making something a little more specific. So, for instance, if we're talking about thrillers or crime dramas, you would expect a lot of those to include stopping a killer. But you can make it, you have to stop a hit on the mother in law that has made your life a living hell while letting everybody, including your wife, think that you're doing Thanksgiving as usual. Still stopping a killing, but that is dealing with it in a very specific and frankly, you're making it more personal way. But your goal is that if your main character is describing their goal to someone else, that other person's gonna be like, "Ho, ho, ho, ho." And I'm also confident, just because we have so many people with so many unique backgrounds and interests, that these are things that already exist in your story. For this, it's just a matter of finding them. So I want you to take about 15 more minutes, 15 more seconds. Add anything that you have to the goal, and then we're going to move on to antagonists. So start another list. Start another thing that you're scribbling. So this is for antagonist or opposing force if we're talking about something kind of big and overreaching. But really quickly, describe in a few words. So like when we were describing our main character, we were like librarian, single mother, sniper. I don't know. In a few words, sketch out who your main character is up against. And remember, this can be something as impersonal as a corporation. And then the question, how is this antagonist different from all the other antagonists that all the other main characters are facing? And again, let's talk about how you can achieve that through specific detail. So for instance, you have an oppressive government? Yes, so do I. But does your government make children participate in televised deathmatch every year? So that detail all of a sudden sets apart the oppressive government in the Hunger Games in a way that just using terms like oppressive government would not do. So again, it's in this case, what sets it apart is leaning into the details. And there may be several details that you can think of, so write them all down. But in this case, when we're talking about, say, Hunger Games, giving that detail about the government pretty much takes care of everything else. And it's easier to mention that than try to describe like who President Snow is or something like that. And then one other question, and again, this may be something that you'll sort of hit at obliquely in the log line. How is your antagonist or opposing force the exact thing that can exploit your main character's weaknesses? So like this sort of thing should be the one that your main character can't get the first try. That they're just going to be in trouble if they have to go up against this thing, this person. They are not equipped. So take about 15 seconds. All right. Last little bit. We're going to deal with stakes. So for stakes, um, drop down to a new paragraph, and then drop down to or a new section in your paper. And what is at stake if your character fails? And again, we want to be specific with this. So um, let's go back to the mother-in-law at Thanksgiving. Does this guy's marriage go down the toilet? Does somebody lose their job? And be as specific as possible. Again, specific is going to be huge. Because saving the world sounds good, but we have a lot of stories about saving the world, and we need to know what that means in this specific. And then I'm going to say this, sometimes the stakes are implied. So the Hunger Games logline that mentions a teen taking her sister's place in a televised death match, that's pretty much all you say. So it would seem redundant to say something like, so this is a televised fight to the death where she could die. So if you talk about the situation they're going in, there are times when you don't need to spell out the stakes. Your reader is going to see that coming. But it is helpful for you to have that have that taken care of. And Lindsay, I am confident you are doing fine. And I'll be honest, the first time I wrote a logline, I had already completed and revised a rough draft. And I wrote the logline, and I remember thinking of finding this perfect logline. It introduced something that I had not yet done in the novel itself, but turned out to make the novel quite good. So sometimes it's just times where you'll be using this as you revise or as you draft to find those spots that stand out. Okay, this is hard for me, but I'm going to actually set a timer for, I'm going to say, a minute and a half. And so what I want you to do is use this minute and a half. Um, and I want you to, and I'll put a timer up for the last 30 seconds so you can tell when we're beginning to lose this. But for the next minute and a half, 2 minutes, I want you to look back over your list. So you're going to do a couple of things when you do this. If anything else comes to mind, go ahead and add to that. And then I also want you to put stars next to some of those details that seem like that they might work for you. So maybe these things might be the details that will be helpful. All right, so I'm currently setting my timer for a minute and a half. And that's what your goal is to do now. Just look through, fill in any holes that you think, anything that occurred to you as we were moving quickly. And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself so you don't have to listen to me sipping my tea. Thank you, Stephen. Better now? All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop. I'm just checking to make sure. I should not be muted now. Just checking. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. So what we're going to do is you should have a paper or a document that is full of different things that you can use to write a log line. That should only be 20 to 30 words max. So I promise, I'm not trying to mess with you. But what we are going to do is we're going to begin to sort through it. So I'm going to drop this worksheet to you in just a sec, and this will actually be for you to use a little bit later. But one of the keys that is going to help you pick out of all of this, which is going to be most helpful, you're looking for things that are brief, but one of the things that can bring out that sense of the unexpected, which is really what you're shooting for, the unexpected and unique in your worksheet, is juxtaposition. So juxtaposition is when you're taking two things that do not belong together. So here's what I would like you to do really quickly. Go ahead, take your list, and as you're looking at these, and you should highlight some that you're like, that's good, but which out of all of this is going to be something that, when juxtaposed together, really makes somebody sort of stand up and take notice. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to work on that. And folks, this was on me. So this is a worksheet that will actually help you with that. So if you look into the comments, I've given you access to a worksheet that will be pulled from our Total Story Accelerator curriculum and adjusted for this. But one of the things that it can do is kind of help you organize this. Now, I asked you so many questions that it may not fit on this exactly. So you can use this worksheet in the future. I'll show you how we'll be you can use it in just a sec. But again, your job right now is to be looking through the list that you have created and find things that don't make sense together. And I'm getting ready to put up an example from one of my favorite books recently. All right, so I'm going to be basing this off of, has anybody read, I'm so hoping we have folks who've done this. Has anybody here read Finley Donovan is Killing It by El Cosimo? Yes, no, maybe so. I'm going to give you the long version of it, and then we'll look at the log line. But the whole point of Finley Donovan is Killing It is that she is soon to be divorced young woman with 2 children, a writer, but she's mid-list. She's not making too much headway with it. And while she is discussing her latest suspense novel with her agent at a Panera, this may be the only part of the book that never happens. Somebody slides her a note because they thought that she is, in fact, a hired killer. And so they are asking this woman, about to be divorced with 2 kids, a mid-list author, will she please off their husband? And Finley doesn't have any, hardly any money. She's dependent on her husband for that. And so, of course, she's not going to do this. But then she also starts thinking about how maybe, she needs to help with her kids, and so maybe there would be a way to do this after all, and finds out that the husband that's supposed to be off, of course, this is all like in the few chapters, is really an awful person. So it's just, I would say it's probably one of the best women's fiction that I've read in a while. Just super, super funny. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can use this worksheet with this. And folks, I apologize. I am juggling 3 different types of technology, and it's just taking me a little bit to pull it together. So I'm showing you how you can use this here, but you could also use this as on your page as well. So let me share this with you. So here's how this looks. So this is the worksheet. You have things scattered all over a document, but these are the lists that I made as I was thinking about Finley Donovan. So character descriptions I set with the simple ones. Got a single mom. She's a novelist. Um, Key plot points, she's mistaken for a contract killer. Her goals. So she has two main sort of goals at the beginning of the book. Main goal is to be able to support herself and her kids without her husband's help. And she's not sure yet whether one of her other goals will be to knock off this bad husband. Story stakes. If she can't figure out how to support herself somehow, she could lose the house, or she'll have to depend on her husband, or God forbid, she's going to have to get a real job. So these are all sorts of things that we have going on, and we would have written a lot more. But all of a sudden, what starts helping is look at this and what are some things in here that you think don't fit together? So I would expect a single mom to have trouble supporting herself. But what would you might not think of going with single mom? So for me, the thing that stood out in that contrast was single mom and contract killer. Like a whole bunch of things that I don't typically go for, that to me stood out. So as I started going through this and choosing those things that are juxtaposed against each other, I have all of these different things and I choose the ones that juxtapose. So what you can do here is start looking at these things and being like, in my list, which are things that we think do not belong together? And list a couple examples. So take a sec. You can do this on your paper. You can do this on your document. You now have this document here. What are things that wouldn't typically fit, but are going to be a good way to sort of get people engaged with your story? And here we have essentially what happens when we do that. So a single mother is mistaken for a contract killer and inadvertently accepts an offer to off a problem husband to make ends meet. Now, a couple things I want us to see really quick, and then we're going to jump into you writing your log line. So, this does not include. So, do we have a listed antagonist here? One could argue maybe the opposite. Like at this point in time, we don't really have. There's not even like a villain. Maybe the antagonist is her trying to make ends meet. Um, but you can see how the main thing that we have is we have our heroine. We have the juxtaposition of her and the inciting incident where she's mistaken for a contract killer. Um, we do have a hint of the stakes. We know that she needs to make ends meet. Um, and honestly, I read the book because I wanted, yes, isn't it, Shauna? I read the book because I wanted to see what she would do. Like, I wasn't sure what her goal should be. Should her goal be like, yes, I will take care of this person? Or should her goal be to figure something else out? So I actually read the book to figure out how she handled the problem. I didn't even know what I wanted her to choose. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to this. And I want you to look at this really quickly. So here's another format. This is a version of the Hunger Games set in a future where the capital selects children from each district to fight to the death on live television. This whole thing sort of hints at the antagonist. Katniss Everdeen, who is our main character, takes her younger sister's place for the latest match. That's our inciting incident. So here you can see that they used 3 of the 5 things that we had. But again, you can do it a couple different ways. Okay, you ready? Here's your assignment. I would like you to you have 5 different aspects of your story. I would like you to take 4 or 5 minutes, put them together, and see if you can pull them together in a log line between 20 and 30 words. I'm not going to be super picky about the words yet, but I'll let you know. And I'm going to drop a couple sort of simple formulas into the comments because somebody had not loaded the correct slide for that. So give me somebody being me. I wish I could blame it on Cheerio, but I can't. So I'm setting a timer right now. I would like you to take 4 to 5 minutes to give your log line the best shot that you can. And I'm going to mute myself again so you don't hear the T. And Stephen, yeah, Stephen, I'll have you tell me if I'm not muted or if I stay muted. Kathleen, you're going to have a place to post it. So if you go, and I'll go ahead and show back to this right here, and I'm typing it in. So I'm going to show you really quickly. If you click on the link that I just dropped again into the comments, and this is readychapter1.com/logline. And I'll put it here as well. So if you go to readychapter1.com/logline, we have a place where you can click to submit your logline. And it's literally just going to be, you're going to click logline submission form, and then it's going to be a place where you can drop your logline. Oh, and I have several already. This makes me so happy. So I'm going to give you one more minute to go ahead and submit your logline, and you can continue to submit them while we're doing this. And then I'm going to give us a chance to critique these loglines, and I'll show you how to do this yet. If you're doing, please don't click logline critique form yet. I'm going to need you to refresh that because I'm literally having to take loglines from here and drop them into that. So all right, so folks, we're going to try this here. All right. So I wanted to share the rubric with you real quick. So what we've got is just a chance to give people feedback on their log lines. So we have 4 things that we're asking you to rate. Understandability. Everyone here is juggling a massive story and they're trying to squeeze that into 20 or 30 words. So understandability, did you know what was going on first time you read it? So if I had to read something like twice to make sure I understood it, I might give it a 3. If it was super clear, super easy to follow, go ahead and give it a 5. We're going to be asking you also if you care. So you understand what the story is about. You want to know what happens next. So if it's interesting, that's cool. That's going to be a 3 or a 4. If you absolutely must know, go ahead and list it a 5. We are asking you to review these in the way that you would if this was your genre. So I understand that you may be reading something outside of what you normally do, but assume this is the type of story that you already like. We also want to see, does this story feel fresh or unique? Is there something about it that feels different. So if you're reading this and you're like, holy smoke, I have never heard of anything like that, go ahead and give it a 5. And then the other is just like, assuming I read in this genre, I'd want to read this book. Go ahead and do that. So I have now, the first log line is loaded. So what I'd like everyone to do, please, is go ahead and click here to critique log lines. And then I want you to take a sec, and I'm going to, because we want to move through a lot, I'm going to save for the next minute and a half as I'm setting this timer. I want you to go ahead and give your best feedback that you can on this. Setting my timer now. And then we'll actually share the feedback. Oh, Elise, I'm wondering, do I have access to your so you Elise, just to check, you're saying that you can click on it, but you can't submit anything in it? All right, so folks, I'm going to ask you to I need you to please stop giving feedback. So I'm going to say in about 15 minutes, I need you, or 15 minutes, have mercy, 15 seconds. I need you to stop giving feedback. And then I'm going to go ahead and share the results with our folks. All right, so we're assuming that you have stopped giving feedback. I'm going to go ahead and share. Oh, and I need to remove this banner so that you can actually see what's going on at the bottom there. We can see this changing a little. Okay, so we're looking at 4 out of 5 for easy to understand, almost 4 for what happens next, 3.5 for fresh and unique, and almost 4 for gotta read this. And overall, if we're averaging all of that, we have a 3.78 out of this. So nicely done. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to reload again. So give me just a moment. I'm going to make sure that we have the next, oops, I need to stop sharing this. Pardon me. I'm jumping a lot of things here. Okay, so I'm going to take the next log line. And I need, okay. All right, so folks, I'd like you to go back to readychapter1.com/logline. And I want you to go ahead and click on rate the logline. So go ahead and re-click the rate the logline. This is the one that has the blue button. And there should be a new logline up there. And I'll go ahead and read the logline that was posted. So this logline that you are currently rating is his grandfather murdered, a young college student begins to experience visions of quantum entanglement of his consciousness 65 years in the past, only to discover his grandfather was not an American paratrooper, but a Nazi courier for Heinrich Himmler. All right, I'm setting the timer for 1.5 minutes. Actually, we're just going to do 1 minute. And now is the time to start reading this. And I'm going to go ahead and put this here. So when this clip All right, folks, I need you to go ahead and stop. So what I have done is I have gone ahead and cleared out the earlier votes from our previous person. And here is the feedback that we have on this guy right here. And I'm going to remove the banner. Okay, easy to understand. We're looking at 3.5. What happens next? A little bit higher. Fresh and unique, 3.78. Gotta read this, 3.78. Nicely done. And folks, I gotta admit, if I had to be talking about quantum entanglement, we'd be getting a 1 on that. So good job. Good job. Okay, we're gonna move through this quickly because I want everyone to have a chance. Let me go ahead. So at this point in time, you need to stop voting on that. In just a sec, I'll have the newest logline up. I love it. You can't see me, but I'm off camera holding my finger up in the please wait. That's the teacher in me. All right, folks, I've gone ahead and cleared the old scores. So I want you to go click the blue button again, and I need you to go ahead and rate the following logline. And I'll read it to you. Lord Edward Wycroft must marry to get control of his estate and fortune. He wants to marry for love, but is afraid he won't be able to. Caroline Guilford is determined to never marry, so she continue her father's legacy as a collector of Roman artifacts, but her growing attraction to Lord Wycroft may upend all her plans. Okay, I'm going to set the timer for the next 30 minutes or 30 seconds. That's how long you have to vote. All right, last little bit, go ahead, get your last things in, and then I'm going to go ahead and share where we are. All right. Give me just a sec. All right, here we go. Here are our numbers. Yes, absolutely agree. This is one of the highest scores we'd had for easy to understand. What happens next is over a 3, fresh and unique, and 3, gotta read this, over a 3. Nicely done. Okay, folks, my goal is to see if we can get 2 more in. You guys have so many good luck lines. I'm going to have to do this. So I'm going to move this really quickly. Let me go ahead and plug in our next log line. Sorry, I'm currently clearing our. All right. So folks, we have our next log line up and ready to go. I need you to go ahead and give feedback on this. So, truck driver on the run from cartel killers rescues an orphaned Chinese girl whose disease-resistant DNA has made her the target of the Chinese government, fortune hunters, and pharma companies willing to spend millions for her capture or death. All right, 30 seconds to fill. All right, go ahead, get those last few votes in. I'm going to go ahead and share this. All right, here is our update for this one. So easy to understand. At 4, what happens next? Close. So I think it's 3.8. Sorry, I'm having bad time with my eyes here. 2, fresh and unique, 3.5. Got to read this, just under 4. And I meant to tell you this number. Here, the 3.79, that's the average of all of those together. Okay, let me go ahead. My goal is to log, I think we can get 2 more in, and then we'll sort of pull this to a conclusion. So we've got a lot here. So I'm going to skip around a little. So nope, that's not. All right, I'm clearing the old ratings now. All right, folks, go ahead, click the blue button and go ahead, and give us feedback. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to be sharing that. I know it's a spreadsheet. I'm so embarrassed, y'all. The former stats teacher in me. All right, 30 more seconds. All right, I think we've got it slowing down here. Okay, so let me go ahead, make sure I'm on the right spots. Okay. All right, here we go. Easy to understand. Over a 3, what happens next? Over a 3, fresh and unique. For a 3, and got to read this, yes, over a 3. So we have our average here. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this. going to load up the last one, and then we'll move towards our giveaway and kind of what you can do with this from now on. And I'm holding my hands up again. Okay, folks, we have a new logline up and ready to go. So this is right the following logline. Disgraced influencer Sasha Malone flees to a quiet Florida town to escape the fallout of an embarrassing viral video. But her fresh start takes a dark turn when she finds evidence of a murder in her moving truck. Balancing a flea market job and its eccentric workers, she must unravel the mystery and rebuild her dream life. Okay, folks, let's get and I'm going to set the timer for right now. All right, just checking. I'm going to have everyone go through the last few times. Just want to make sure we have everything set. Okay, I'm not getting any more ratings. Nope, I think we're good. Okay, I'm going to share the charts. Okay, we have easy to understand. Yes, we know what's going on. What happens next? Close to 4, fresh and unique, 3.5. Got to read this. And our overall average is, oh, we just had someone come in. So we have an overall average of 3.8. So folks, this is an example of a fabulous pitch. It's going to need to be condensed a little bit more to be a log line, but yes, we are good. Okay, so in my brain, I was going to be able to do this a lot faster, and you guys would have time to let everyone go ahead and do their log line. But we are running out of the time that I had told you that we would be able, that we would be taking. So I am going to try and move through super quickly. What I am going to do, but I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to enter for the log line or for the giveaway. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and click on the orange button. So go back to readychapter1.com, click on the orange button, and go ahead and drop your name and email in there. So literally just, you know, Sarah or whatever, and then put your name in there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to we'll tell you again about what we're giving away. And actually, before I do that, Fred, you want to let people know what's coming up in the future while I'm gathering that info? Okay, so folks, I'm going to add Fred to, I hope I can do this. We'll see.
Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Am I on?
Folks, can you hear him okay?
Awesome. Okay, so I have the easiest job tonight, and it's literally just to talk about some of the cool stuff coming up for Ready Chapter 1. If you don't know, we are a fledgling organization. Sarah and I have been in and around the publishing industry for the last 20 years. We are both multi-published authors. It took each of us 10 plus years to break into the publishing industry. We hated that about this industry, and so we were our whole goal this whole time has been there's got to be better ways. And that's literally what you're doing tonight. Like that's the type of community that we're trying to build. So you look over my shoulder this way, haha. This was the very first publisher challenge that we did for a publisher out of California called Bushel and Peck Books. The thing is, they love to see the data analytics that we are building around the interactions between the writers on our platform. So if you don't know, we have a free to use peer critique platform that has a lot of these features in it where you post your work, you swap feedback with other people, and it spits out your kind of aggregated scores. So we ran this challenge for Bushel and Peck. we handed them the top performing stories out of everything on the site, and they made an offer, and someone from our community got their very first book deal, which is like a dream come true for us. It's the coolest thing that we've ever gotten to do. And the great news is, and your special reward for sticking around later tonight, is that you get to hear about the next one. So we just got confirmation that there is another international publisher, traditional publisher that offers advances and royalties and all that good stuff, and they want to read our survivor stories, which is going to be the theme of our next event, or our next publisher challenge. So whether you have a survivor story in mind or not, you now have the tools to write a log line for one, and this can be a fiction. So like kind of think sci-fi, think The Martian, where he's trying to survive in space, or he's trying to survive on Mars until he can get rescued. You can think about this as a first-person survivor story. Hey, I went through something that was terrible and harrowing, and I'm going to write about it. Or this can be kind of one of those based on a true story types of narratives. So it kind of like is the whole gamut, and it'll be able to fall in any of those categories. We're not going to post about it for probably another month and a half, but I want you to just think of the one word, survivor. Start thinking about those stories, and we're going to that's going to be our next publisher challenge, and you're going to read all about it in the coming weeks. And if you haven't checked out the forums yet, please do check those out, because that's where all this critique happens, and where all the data analytics happens that lets us hand off the top performers to the publisher. And I think that's about it for me. Sarah, you're still muted.
Thank you. All right. So folks, I'm going to give you 30 more seconds so I can get everything else from you guys. I want to take you a sec really quickly and just go over again what you will be getting. And then, oh my gosh, I forgot. Oh, sorry, Kathleen, I just saw your thing. Go ahead. And so if you are going to, so I was not clear about what we needed to do. So I want you to go to this website here. And the orange button that says submit a logline here, just for my own ease, I'm just going to have you type in your name and your email address. That's how we'll do it. Yes. So you're going to click the orange button. You're going to put in your name and your email address. And so I'm going to give us like 5 more minutes, not 5 more minutes, like 1 more minute to make sure that everyone can get that in. And then I'll run a random number generator. So really quickly, what you're getting is you're getting Ready Chapter 1 Pro. So this will be a year. It's currently worth $129, but this is going to be something, wait, I may even have, haha, yes. Okay, so this is where you can enter contests and challenges with agent critiques as top prizes, ask burning questions in our pro forums, learn from acquiring agents, get actionable feedback. And one of the things we love for our pro writers too is that we actually, so our free forums don't include things for pitches or log lines, but if you're a pro member, you can go to those special forums where you can actually get that from there. And so you can go ahead and you'll have that opportunity to do that, which a lot of our folks have found super helpful. Fred, we've got a question too, and I'm going to let you pop back up and field that while the rest of our folks are getting their stuff in. So it is, can the survivor stories be picture book?
Can the survivor stories be picture book? So I'm going to guess, just knowing this publisher and what they've kind of pitched to us, I'm guessing that picture book may not be the perfect medium for it. But and since you mentioned it, I'll mention it too. We've got another publisher that is a picture book publisher that wants to do a publisher challenge in 2025. So that's also on the list. It's probably not going to be the next publisher challenge, but it's going to be the next one. So for all you picture book writers in the room, we are lining them up. And that's what I think is really cool about our organization, is that just we have found a new way to bring top stories to the surface through our forums, and the publishers are they're starting to line up, and they're coming to us for access to you. So that's how this whole ecosystem is going to work. You're muted, Sarah.
I feel like it could be a really bad drinking game. Like, is she muted? Are things working? Okay, really quickly. Anybody else have any questions for Fred about that? I'm seeing no more questions. Okay. And then I want to really quickly, I'm going to give everyone, I think I've got everyone time there, but I'm going to add real quick. So this was everything that's included in the RC1 Pro membership. And then the other thing I want to let you know about, we've been talking about, and I'm going to do this really quickly because this is important. This is what you're going to do with your logline next. So give me 5 more minutes and we'll do the giveaway. One of the best things that you can do, which is the hardest thing for a typically writers are introverted, is you need to talk your logline up to other people. So who are not your mother. So teenagers are perfect, but you need to find people who are not absolutely on your side. Teachers, I hate to say this, it can't always be your students because they're going to be for you. This is when you are talking to coworkers and you're like, look, I'm trying to see if this makes people want to read this story. You don't even have to tell them it's your story, and pitch your log line. So just like when we were going through all the information for your log lines, and sometimes the first thing that comes up isn't the best way that you can describe it, you need to take time to describe this to different people. So we hope that you are a pro member or that you are able to do this in our forums. You may be the person who wins this, but take a chance and work through this so that you can make sure that you've talked this out with other people. Have this in your back pocket. So as you are, so second thing I want you to do with this is that as you are moving through drafting, revising, revise with this logline in mind. So once you find the perfect logline that works for you, you definitely need to have that be your North Star as you're moving. And then last thing I'm going to say, wait, let's see. I think we're almost there. Okay, really quick. Yes. Oh my gosh. Kathleen absolutely went to a library during a teen event and received a lot of feedback. Heck yes. See if you can get feedback from the people who know. So next steps from this. If you liked this, this is very similar to what we are going to be doing in our Novel Academy. And I think you had a link on the page that you did before, but Novel Academy was something we offered in 2022. It was an amazing way to move an entire cohort of writers through what we were covering through the curriculum. And while the worksheets that I shared with you, or a version of the worksheet, was available to our pro members, there's an energy that comes from doing this with other people, from being able to get feedback as you do it, from being able to talk about some of those common terms. So Novel Academy is coming back, and I'm just going to move you to the thing that, yes, I see you. I can definitely answer those questions with the live events. Novel Academy is also going to include a one-on-one meeting with an agent. So our goal is to help you refine your concept. So in Novel Academy, you would essentially be starting with what we're doing here and move forward. We want you to expand your author toolkits. You're going to grow your network through meetings like this. Those will be Zoom so you can see each other. You're going to polish and elevate your story. And then every member of the Novel Academy will have 15 minutes to have a Zoom meeting with an acquiring agent and get feedback from that agent about what's working or what isn't working with that. And we are just, oh my gosh, super excited about that. So what I'm going to do is have coupon codes. And oops, nope, I'm going to give this away first. And then I'm going to tell you, I need to tell us our winner first. Sorry, guys. I'm not used to juggling so many spreadsheets, as y'all can see. But what I'm going to do is, if this is something that you're interested in, I've got your email addresses. I'm going to email you some coupon codes. So we have two things. Novel Academy is currently $5.97. It's a 5-month course that includes this one-on-one meeting with an agent. and I can give you a $50 off coupon for that. I was told in some versions I'm supposed to push, like, to have you give us an answer now. No, this coupon code will work for 24 hours. I'll get it emailed to you so that you can do a little more research, talk to the people. I'll also include an email for RC1 Pro. So RC1 Pro is normally $129. I'll send you a coupon for $30 off. So if you are not the lucky winner, you will at least have a shot if you decide this is something you'd like to do. And then really quickly, I'm going to answer Wendy's question. So can you tell us a little bit about the live events we're planning? So we have two different types of live events. We have ones that are almost like open mic night with agents. So similar to what we do here, where we'll have somebody read first 2 pages, so like first pages of a work or a pitch of a work. And the agent will give feedback in real time. And we've had live events where agents have offered people the opportunity to submit. Other times where they're just giving their advice. So that's one type of live event. We're also recruiting more workshops. So last month, we had a workshop with Christy Farley about indie publishing. So for those who are interested in self-publishing, what you have to do to make that work. And what was also fascinating is that so many of those different sort of strategies are super helpful for people who also are writing and publishing traditionally. And so there was a huge crossover for that. Our next big workshop is going to be February 11th with Janice Hardy. Anybody who's worked with her just knows she's amazing. And she'll be talking about writing romance. And this won't be just for those writing a romance novel, but maybe romance will be a thread running through your story, and Janice is going to be able to give you feedback on that. Okay, any last questions while I am running a random number generator to just a sec. So I'm going to tell this story. Okay. I had asked somebody how they collected random, like the winners on this, and they had horror stories. And I don't know if it was just like drone pilots. I don't know. Fred, maybe you think drone pilots are interesting. Okay. So what I've done is I have emails and names from 20 to 44 on my spreadsheet. I am running a number generator. I got number 37, which is Lori Young. Lori, are you still here? I hope so. Drop me a comment. Nope. Okay. Lori, I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to go ahead and really quickly do that. Any joy yet? There she is. Okay. Sorry, Lori. I was on a different thing. Okay. Thank you. All right. So Lori's there. And folks, I just realized that, so Fred and I will be here for a couple more minutes if you have any questions. In 1 minute, 30 seconds. I don't know why I'm holding up 2 fingers for that. In 30 seconds, I can also drop you those coupon codes that will be working for our different programs. So we have this one here. Just a moment. And these will both work for 48 hours. So we just want you to know that we understand that we are dealing with a lot of different sort of things. And so we want to make sure that you have time to think about the different things that you will be dealing with. Oh my goodness, there we go. All right. So let me drop this coupon code right here. So, and I apologize, and I'm going to email you these as well, because unfortunately these are only webs. So here is a link to the coupon code for the Novel Academy. I'm not even going to tell you how many tabs I have open right now, and I apologize for the delay. And then here is a link for RC1 Pro if you would like to use that. And again, I apologize for the delay. Lori, I will email you and get back to you about that. If you have any other questions, hit us up. If not, we are going to go ahead and head out. Good luck with your log lines. Y'all are amazing, and we'll talk to you soon. I'm going to wait 30 more seconds. Casey, you make me feel better about myself. I think I have 50 open in one. So maybe, yeah. Thanks, everyone. It was good seeing y'all. Okay, James, you may win on that one. This one. Oh my goodness. All right, folks, I'm going to call it quits. I will go ahead, reach out to Lori, and I'll go ahead and email you these coupon codes as well. Y'all have a wonderful night.